Hello, everyone. Hope you all had a good week. I had quite an interesting week, to be perfectly honest. And before I get into any wrestling-related topics or even the movie review that I want to do, I do want to talk about a potentially minor update as far as this channel is concerned. On Monday, I put in my 2-week notice. I will be leaving my current position because I got a new job that is much closer to home. It's still like a 25-30 minute drive for me, but still, it's a lot closer than what I've been doing. Also, a lot more money, so it's like more time, more money. I like that. At the end of the day, I have more time and more money. That's kind of great. That's always a good thing. And the reason I bring it up is because with more time on my hands, that will free me up to have more time to be making videos, which is, fun for me personally. I don't know if it's great for you guys, depending on how you feel about my videos, but yeah, I don't know how that's gonna play out yet. I start my new job next Monday, so we'll just kind of take it step by step and see how it goes. But yeah, I might be freed up to have more time to make more videos, which is good for the channel if nothing else. But moving on from there, there were a bunch of things that happened in pro wrestling this week, and some things coming up. I guess I could review Great Balls of Fire. I haven't done that yet, even though we're a week removed from the pay-per-view. I can give my overall impressions of the show. It was a pay-per-view that happened. It's one of those. It was like, it's not great. It's not terrible. It happened. It exists. It was certainly a pay-per-view. That's kind of my overall impression of the whole thing. They were not, there was some good stuff on there. I thought the Iron Man tag match was pretty solid. I thought the ending was really well constructed, if nothing else. I liked the way Enzo versus Cass was booked, which was basically Cass squashing him, and I felt like, yeah, that's pretty much how that match needs to go. But there were other things that fell flat. Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt, don't care. Miz and Dean Ambrose, I've seen that match 100 times, and I know they stole the show at Extreme Rules, but I felt like it's like, alright, can we move on? It's like, we're still doing rematches. What are we doing here, guys? Spinning our wheels. I thought Sasha versus Alexa was solid. That double-jointed elbow thing that Alexa does, that looks sick as hell. It's kind of cool. Like, it's a neat little feature that she brings to her matches. So, yeah, it was just kind of a show that happened. Oh, you had Roman Reigns becoming an attempted murderer. That was interesting. He lost a match fair and square and then tried to murder his opponent because he was mad. It's like, there's your babyface, kids. All right. Why am I supposed to like him again? I don't get it. I don't get it. Anyway. Then we got the main event, Samoa Joe versus Brock Lesnar. This match is getting rave reviews online. Like, every review I've read, I feel like it's been like 3.5, 4 stars. And it was... I guess I'll just be the poison pill here. I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was great. I thought it started off hot with Joe attacking Lesnar pre-match, pre-bell. But it kind of went into this formula that was very reminiscent of the Goldberg-Lesnar match at WrestleMania, where it's Lesnar trying to take his opponent to Suplex City and his opponent countering by spamming his finishers. In Goldberg's case, it was the spear. In Joe's case, it was the Coquina Clutch. With the spear, it gives that exciting burst of energy, so the whole match kind of felt like a car wreck. Here, it's just, it feels like he's locking on a sleeper hold, basically, and it just slows the match down. It doesn't, give you that energetic feeling that the Goldberg-Lesnar match did. Went about the same length, I think. I think the Joe match lasted about a minute or two longer, but it was still the same basic idea. I just thought Goldberg-Lesnar at Mania executed that formula much better. I'm a little worried about Lesnar's matches moving forward. I know when he had the match with Cena, where he basically just suplexed him into oblivion and basically squashed him, that kind of became it was really cool the first time they did it, but then it kind of became the Lesnar template where all of his matches basically turned into suplex my opponent into oblivion and then pin him. And that kind of got old after a while, especially when he was working with guys like Seth Rollins. And I felt like, okay, that should be a different kind of match. That should be more cat and mouse, where Lesnar's chasing him and Seth is using his athleticism to get away. And that's how that should be worked. That shouldn't be just straight up Seth gets suplexed 45 times until you do the finish. They were getting into this very overly repetitive pattern with Lesnar's matches. And then the Goldberg match happened, and that was just a straight up car wreck, basically. It's like, all right, keep it sub 5 minutes and just let them just act like two bulls in a china shop and just let them go. And that got a really great response and a really great reaction. Like I said, I thought it was the match of the night at this year's WrestleMania. And then you see the Samoa Joe match, and it's like they tried to kind of do the same thing, but it didn't quite work as well. And I'm worried it's like, oh god, are all of Lesnar's matches just going to be repeats of the Goldberg match? Which I really don't like. It's like, I feel like if you're switching opponents, that you should be having different kinds of matches with different kind of guys, like I talked about with Seth Rollins. And, oh well, I mean, this time, like I said, the match was okay. Lesnar won, which I said in my preview I knew he was going to win. But, yeah, it was a match that happened. We've got Joe versus Roman for the #1 contendership next week. I personally would have just done Lesnar and Strowman just to give Strowman the match that he was supposed to get at Great Balls of Fire. And, technically he did beat Roman Reigns, so to me it's like, all right, maybe let's set him up for SummerSlam, see if we're able to make that happen. But, yeah, so I would have done like Lesnar versus Strowman and then do Joe versus Reigns at SummerSlam and see if you can kind of capitalize on the energy that Joe has managed to capture, because that's really been the major benefit of this feud. Is like, this is the best Samoa Joe's been since he came into the WWE, at least on TV. So it's like, if they can kind of capitalize on that and get Joe into a place where he's pretty good again, I was like, okay, that would be great. It's just a matter of rolling with it and striking the iron when it's hot. But yeah, those are pretty much all my feelings on Great Balls of Fire, the most stupidly named pay-per-view ever. But moving on from there, Global Force Wrestling was in the news this week because apparently Alberto Del Rio is he's in troubles. He's being investigated for domestic abuse against his girlfriend Paige. I don't know exactly what is going on in that relationship. I think it's a little messed up. It seems like he seems like he's got a temper, and she seems like she's very unstable, which just feels like a very toxic mix. And again, this is me being an outsider looking in. It sounds bad and it looks bad. And I'm not saying that Alberto is completely at fault. I'm not saying that he's completely innocent either. And same thing goes for Paige. I think it's a very toxic situation that has spilled over into Global Force getting the type of press that they don't want. Apparently Alberto's been suspended. I don't know if that's actually going to play into him losing the title or anything like that. But it's unfortunate, this whole big rebranding thing that they're doing, and it's like, all right, they're trying to find a new direction, trying to move forward, really building up their roster, and now their champion is being investigated for domestic abuse, which is not the type of press that you want. Unfortunate situation. Hopefully it's not as bad as it looks, but I have my doubts for obvious reasons. But yeah, it's unfortunate. I'm trying to think who they could put the belt on if they have to take it off of him. I guess it goes back to Lashley. I don't know. Maybe EC3. I'd probably put it on him again, but what can you do? What else is going on? The Cueto Cup is still going on in Lucha Underground. Still great. It's still pretty awesome. So I'm loving that right now. There's the we're moving into NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. Looks like Bobby Roode's going to defend the title against Drew McIntyre, which is not a bad match. I wish Drew had gotten some more build-up before getting this title match. He hasn't really had like a hot program or anything, but so there's that to look forward to. And on Raw, the big Kurt Angle scandal is going to be revealed. There's two possibilities that people are suggesting. That Kurt Angle is either having an affair with Stephanie McMahon or is having an affair with Dixie Carter. And that's going to be the reveal on tomorrow night's Raw. Um, if it's Stephanie, to me, it's like, oh, good, we're revisiting that angle from 17 years ago that they botched. If it's Dixie, I'm just kind of like, have WWE gotten so desperate that we're at a point where, like, Dixie Carter is going to be treated like a big surprise and a big get for them? I don't know. Like, that's just weird to me. If that's the case. I mean, she is appearing on the WWE Network, which that was shocking, in of itself. But, yeah, to be perfectly honest, I don't really care, like, which way they go or who it is or what it is. It's kind of an angle that hasn't really grabbed me, but there you go. More WWE news. Talking Smack got canceled, which is a shame. I mean, it's a show that a lot of people seem to like. I honestly haven't watched it since 205 Live debuted and 205 Live took its spot. Because it's like, fuck, I'm not staying up till fucking midnight watching a SmackDown post-show. I'm just not doing it. And I'm an old man. I can't be doing that. But yeah, some really good promos came out of that. And I thought it was like the wrestlers kind of were allowed to be more of themselves and put more creativity into whatever it is they were saying on that show. So losing that, I think, is kind of a shame. I think the 205 Live switch killed it, and I also think losing Daniel Bryan for the amount of time that they did also kind of hindered it a little bit, because that was one of the appeals of it. It was like, oh, I get to hear Daniel Bryan give his thoughts. That's cool. That's sweet. But yeah, so we lose Talking Smack. SmackDown, who keeps getting butt-fucked, it seems. It's like, I don't know, it's like, oh, hey, let's take that jobber, that guy that we booked like a jobber for virtually his entire career, his entire run with us. Let's make him WWE champion. That'll work. Hey, let's take away that talk show that people seem to really like. Let's take that away. It's just a bunch of things where it's like, man, it's like, does Vince like actively hate SmackDown? Like, what's going on here? But, yeah, so that's kind of a shame when I heard that, even though I haven't watched Talking Smack in a really long time. But them's the breaks. But, yeah, I think that's pretty much all the wrestling talk I wanted to do today. I want to close out the video by talking about a movie that I saw this weekend. I saw two movies this weekend, to be perfectly honest. I saw Spider-Man Homecoming, which overall was solid. It was very entertaining. I thought it was very fun. I won't say it's the best Spider-Man movie ever, but it's probably the funniest Spider-Man movie ever. The cast was good. It was fun. It was brisk. It was entertaining. Just a really good movie. Didn't reinvent the wheel, didn't break any new ground or anything, but as far as like repairing the damage from the Amazing Spider-Man movies, I think this movie kind of fit that pretty well. So it was a solidly entertaining movie. If you want to go see it, go see it. I think you'll be fine with it. I don't think it's as good as like some of the other ones that have come out this year, like Logan or I would say Lego Batman. I really like Lego Batman. Or Wonder Woman. I thought Wonder Woman was really good too. Thank God DC made a good one. But yeah, I thought Spider-Man Homecoming was really good. Also, Michael Keaton's in it, and that makes me happy. It's like, oh good, Michael Keaton's getting work again. That's a good thing. He never should have went away. I like Michael Keaton. But the other movie I saw this weekend was the absolutely amazing War for the Planet of the Apes, which was so fucking good. I mean, I don't want to throw around like heavy praise here, but let me say that I said when I saw Logan, I'm like, okay, that's the movie of the year. Like, nothing's going to top that, right? Then I see War for the Planet of the Apes. I'm like, no, I was wrong. War for the Planet of the Apes, easily my favorite movie this year so far, and I would even venture to say it wasn't just a great movie, it wasn't just a movie that I really enjoyed. It was one of those movies that was like, wow, that might be in like my top 10 favorite movies of all time now. It was one of those, like, it's like, this is like one of the best movies I've seen in like the last 2 decades. Like, this was an incredible movie. And it's really amazing that this Planet of the Apes prequel reboot series turned out to be one of the best film trilogies of all time. And they just kept getting better. That's the other one. The third installment is the best one of the 3. That's crazy. The first one was, I went into with very low expectations. And it was really good. And I was like, wow, that turned out way better than I would have ever expected. Then I see the second one, I'm like, okay, guys, you got lucky with the first one, but don't push your luck here. You really shouldn't be making a sequel. Sequel was even better, and it's like, holy shit, these people know what they're doing. And then you get to the third one, it's like, okay, the third one's always the worst, but I mean, the first two were good, so they build up my personal trust in them. And yeah, War for the Planet of the Apes is not only the best one of the three, it's one of the best movies. I mean, holy shit, that movie was good. And it really is like, when I think of all the big blockbusters that fail either creatively or at the box office, like the movies that are clearly made just to cash in on a property or just to make money, but there's like an element of being creatively bankrupt to them. I think to Transformers The Last Night for that, which finally there's like a downturn of, domestic box office. So it's like, oh, thank God. That series is finally like on the downturn. It's about time. And this is coming from a lifelong Transformers fan. It's like, guys, we're done. We're so fucking done with this. Oh my God. The Mummy movie that just came out, their whole relaunch of the Dark Universe to bring back the Universal Classic monsters, and it just looks... I mean, it's bad. I mean, it's just bad, and I love the Universal Classic monsters, but this only pisses me off more. By all rights, like, Planet of the Apes should be in that same class. It's like, oh, you're cashing in on an old idea and a cheap attempt to make money. And they're making, like, some of the best movies out there now. It doesn't have that, oh, it's a cheap cash grab thing, or, oh, we're cashing out on a name. They are legitimately telling great stories and making great movies with great characters. The special effects are incredible. Like, I would go as far to say that, like, this is some of the best CGI I have ever seen. The apes feel alive. I felt that way in the last movie, and I definitely feel that way. If not the same, then probably more so. Caesar feels like a living, breathing creature to me. Maurice feels alive. All the apes do. I mean, and the way they emote, the way they communicate with each other, it all feels very believable, very organic, and they feel like actual creatures inhabiting the space on the screen, and it all contributes to a great story that's very dark, very grim. Not feel good at all. Great performances all around, both from the motion capture actors and the Andy Serkises of the world, who should get a fucking Oscar out of this. He's not going to, but he should. They were all great. Woody Harrelson was outstanding as the villain. Kind of like you expect him to be kind of a one-note character, and he kind of is, but his motivations make a lot of sense. And he's a memorable character, to say the least. And it's a story of, like, revenge and anger and hatred, and very dark, very grim, very emotional at times, too. And I had read that the creators of this movie, they, like, pulled inspiration from, like, Ben-Hur and the Ten Commandments and a bunch of, like, those older movies. And to me, it definitely shows. Especially in the last scene. I won't spoil it, but the last scene of, like, oh, they watched the Ten Commandments when they did this scene. And there's just a lot of great stuff in there, and all the characters are great. Even the new characters they added, like Nova and Bad Ape, who I did not think Bad Ape was going to work. When he first was introduced, I was like, uh-oh, Jar Jar Binks in monkey form. And nope, he was fine. He was very understated. He's the closest thing to that these movies have to comedy relief. But he was fine. He was completely fine and served the story really well. Nova, kid actress, did very well. Of course, she was mute the whole time, so that definitely helps. But served the story very well. Bunch of great stuff in there. And I don't want to go into spoiler territory, because I feel like this is a movie that you really need to just see going in, knowing as little as possible and just going right into it. I will say that the War for the Planet of the Apes is probably not the best title, because it doesn't really... it's not really a war. It's more of a... okay, let me put it this way, and this is kind of a spoiler. If you're going into this movie expecting like a full-fledged war between humanity and an army of apes, that doesn't happen. But the movie is so great, I didn't care. It was executed perfectly, and just an outstanding movie. I really can't sing its praises enough. And then if it sounds like I'm kind of like dodging like the main details of the film, it's because I really want to encourage people to go out and see this movie and experience it for yourselves. If you didn't like the last two Planet of the Apes films, I can't imagine you would like this one. I don't think this one's going to change your mind, although if you didn't like the last two films, I have to ask why? Because these movies are fucking great. I mean, I'll be honest, with this one being as good as it is, like, okay, this is like my new like, at least in the modern day, like the modern cinema, like this is my new like favorite series of films. Like they are that good. These are really fucking good. And you know, you look at the prequel reboots and all of those things, like, you know, the Star Wars prequels, those creatively failed, at least in my opinion. They weren't necessarily like critical bombs, and they certainly weren't financial bombs, but they were not like what I wanted out of a Star Wars prequel. The Hobbit trilogy, gigantic misfire in a lot of ways. You know, that mainly from the fact that it just did not need to be three-hour movies, and it was just overkill. But yeah, so that one, by all rights, should have been good. Misfire. Planet of the Apes. That's the one. I mean, yeah, Star Trek, J.J. Abrams. The first one was good. Second one was dog shit. Third one was better. So I would say Beyond was the best one of the three. So Star Trek overall got through mostly okay. Like I said, the second one was terrible, but you know, 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. But Planet of the Apes, that's the one that really came through and delivered that really strong kind of prequel reboot trilogy. And good on him. It's fucking great, and I was really happy to see it. And man, just terrific work all around. I'm just really happy with it. And again, this is coming from somebody that you know, I love the original film. I think the original film is a classic and deserves to be considered a classic. I think the sequels that came after it were kind of just cash grabby. Just like, all right, let's cash in on the name and make sequels off of this, and let's see how long we can take this. Not that they were terrible. They were just kind of like nowhere near as good as the original. I think the best one of the sequels, and I forget the name of it. I want to say it was called Escape from the Planet of the Apes, but I could be completely wrong. It's the one where Cornelius and Zira go to like modern day Earth. And that one, and they become like celebrities and stuff. That was the best one of the original sequels. And even that one's like, it's solid. It's okay. The rest of them were kind of forgettable to me. And then you get to the Tim Burton remake, and I'm like, poof. The makeup looked great, but that's about it. That's where the praise is at. Like, the film looks great, and the makeup on the apes looks incredible, but other than that, whatever. Then you get to these movies, and it's like, Planet of the Apes is life. These are the best movies around. They are fucking great. And it's good to see. And it's proof that, you know, maybe prequels and reboots aren't so bad if they're done really well. And this is a case where they've been done really, really well. And my hat's off to the makers of this movie. You made a masterpiece in my mind. This has been that was a hell of a movie, and one that I won't forget anytime soon. So that is the end of my movie review for Planet of the Apes. Go see it. It's fucking great. If you've already seen it, go see it again, because it deserves all the money and all the praise that it gets, because it's fucking great. So that is all I have for this video. I'll be back for more next week, but until then, later everybody.